Thank you, everyone. Again, you're at the Old Enfield Road Pipeline Renewal Public Meeting. And tonight we are going to, there's a quick agenda for you. We'll have introductions of the project team. We'll give you an overview of the project. And we're going to hold all questions till after our overview. That was a radically new thing we just did with Richard there. Pre-meeting question, but it was a good one. And then we'll certainly make sure you have our contacts at the closing. So I'll tell you what, while we introduce ourselves, I'm going to put up my contact information. Let me see if I can quickly get to that, Richard, so that you have it while we all introduce ourselves. And again,
it was on the third slide. You can go back.
Are you sure?
Literally it was the next slide. Yes.
I don't think it's on that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's not. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Better that these people are all highlighted first.
Okay, so there's my contact information. And in the meantime, I've already introduced myself. And Luke, why don't you introduce yourself next?
I'm Luke Tilbury, and I'm with Austin Water. I'm on the Renewing Austin Rehabilitation Program team, and we go into older neighborhoods, in this case, Old Enfield, and we're trying to get to the pipe before it breaks and try to do work and fix it before breaks happen.
That was thank you. That's a great overview. I'm going to go back to our introduction slide so that y'all can see our names while we're doing it. And hopefully Richard got what he needed. Okay, here we go. Tunde, would you please introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, my name is Tunde Daramola, and I'm the project manager, Capital Delivery Services.
Okay, and we've met Luke. Jonathan, please introduce yourself.
I hope y'all can see me. Some have met me, some have not. My name is Jonathan Sotomayor. I will be the construction inspector for Capital Delivery Services for the Old Enfield project. I will be the point of contact for all your construction needs, for all your worries, anything that I can help, any information that I can give. I will be happy to help y'all when I can. I will pass it over to Kevin now.
Good to go.
Everybody's going to want to know this guy.
My name is Kevin Jones. I'm the construction inspection supervisor. I'll be overseeing the work that's going on the project.
Great. Chris?
Yes, Chris Dormeyer, Black and Veatch. I'm the design engineer of record for the project.
Okay, and Ron?
Ron Greer, I'm operations manager for facilities rehabilitation. We'll be doing the work on the project.
And you guys have met me enough times by now. And Lydia, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I am Cynthia's colleague at the Public Information Office, and I'm here as a support to her.
A great one. So thank you. Okay, I am going to kick off this presentation with telling you guys a little bit about one of my favorite projects at Austin Water that's called Renewing Austin. And Renewing Austin is a program through which we are going throughout the city and making sure basically that we have a reliable water infrastructure today and that we are secure for the oncoming needs of tomorrow. So as Luke alluded to, we are repairing water and wastewater lines that are broken, that are aging, that are having too many leaks, too many breaks, and we're doing it all over Austin. In your neighborhood in particular, with this project, we are targeting 3,600, a little over 3,600 linear feet of water mains that need to be replaced. We'll be putting in new water mains there. And in terms of new wastewater mains, we're actually installing 6,600 linear feet of new water mains. So, by the way, feel free afterwards to tell me that I use too much jargon. I try not to. Mains is a fancy word for big water line. It's the big water line that's carrying your main water and your main wastewater. So anyway, by replacing these lines, we're going to save everyone a lot of repair time. We save water for our community, and we don't have to keep paying to repair lines. Okay, here's a map that you all should have all received a couple of times, at least from us, if not several, showing where we'll be working in this project. To give you an overview, the blue lines are where we are putting in new water lines. The green lines are where we're putting in new wastewater lines. That's pretty straightforward. Where it gets a little tricky is with the gray and red lines. Gray lines show you a wastewater line that's currently in operation, but that we are going to abandon. Abandon means just what it sounds like. No more. We're not going to use that one anymore. And instead, we're going to be replacing that wastewater line with a new line where the red is. So in those gray red situations, we will really be moving the current location of a wastewater line. So hopefully that makes sense. I'll let everybody look at that for a moment. The red and green just show you a straight replacement. The red and the gray show you where we're actually relocating the main line. And that gets very important later. Okay, let's see what's next. Someone else is going to take it away in a moment here to talk to you a lot about construction. A couple of our guys are, but I wanted to talk about this for a moment because as a public information officer, I get so many phone calls from people who say, you were here 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 12 months ago, and I thought you finished and now you're back. And we will have to be, our contractor will have to be in front of your home multiple times. And that's because there are many steps to construction, and wastewater and water lines are done in separate places. So there's a lot to do, and we got to do it twice. Just to highlight a couple of things, the prep work involves putting out what we call environmental controls. That's fancy jargon for those orange fences that you see different places, some supports for trees, some sandbags, all of these things to make sure that we don't harm the local environment. Anyway, we've got to dig and install and test, pave in a temporary way, make any modifications we need to. There's always a final repaving at the end, and all of that takes time. So don't despair if we come back multiple times. That's just the way it has to be. Okay, Jonathan's going to talk to you about what to expect during construction. And again, Jonathan is our guy on the ground who is there to make sure things are going correctly and smoothly and to answer your questions as residents and to help facilitate things. He's a really important person to know, and you're going to have the chance to get his contact information several times.
Thank you for that, Cynthia. Okay, we'll start off with open cuts. As you can see in the picture to the left here, whenever we're installing this wastewater and water lines, it has to be installed in the street. And as many of you know, the city of Austin has right of way to the streets so that we can install these lines. The construction method that we will be used is this open cut via open trench. The crews will cut through the street and excavate to create the underground trenches to install these wastewater and water lines. These wastewater and water lines will go into separate trenches several feet apart. Also, you should expect heavy construction equipment on site with loud noises while these guys are installing these wastewater water lines for the upgrade. Access and safety. You will always have access to your home. We will work collaboratively with the contractor to make sure that your driveways are available to you at all times so that we don't impede you getting in and out of your home. If you need to get in and out of your driveway or if it's blocked, please just call me. My cell phone is right here, 254-366-0899. And the work site will be left in a safe condition at the end of each work day, every day, whenever the contractor works. Repaving. So while construction is ongoing, crews will repair the open cut trenches with a temporary treatment, as you've seen the temporary asphalt. So whenever they cut these trenches up, when they cut the street open and get the pipe in, they will temporarily set asphalt over these open trenches so that we can reopen the road for y'all as we move on to the next roads. And then once everything is complete, that's where the final repaving will come into play. So that way you won't feel the bumps in the road as you drive through it. As I just mentioned, after construction is finished for the entire project, the contractor will schedule repaving for all streets impacted by construction from the project.
It's everybody's favorite part, I found. Yay, repaving.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Timeline and schedule, which I know a lot of people ask about this part, which is fine. When will y'all be on our street? How long will it last? So the project is estimated to take 24 months. Generally, the contractor will work Monday through Fridays. Weekends work will be scheduled as needed, and the work hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The city's noise ordinance applies after 10 p.m. Just a
Okay.
heads up.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And there is a pop quiz at the end of this presentation, which is whose name and phone number do you really need to have? And again, that would be Jonathan. You'll have another chance to get his phone number. I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that are confusing to people. First of all, tree trimming. You may see the contractor trimming trees hanging over the sidewalks or over the street. A couple of things you can tell from this diagram. Actually, by ordinance, we're all required to have trees no lower than 14 feet, overhanging by 14 feet over streets. And then when it comes to sidewalks, the trees need to be at least 8 feet above the sidewalk. If those requirements aren't being met at the time, the contractor most likely is going to do the trimming for you. And that's so that his equipment doesn't take a big branch off of your tree. So if you see someone out there trimming, it's to save your foliage from potential harm. And all trimming decisions are made in consultation with the city arborist. So that's always actually a very good and thoughtful process. Okay, something else that can be confusing. The lines, the pipes that connect the new wastewater and water mains that are in the streets, the pipes that connect those to your homes are called service lines. And usually this throws people for a loop much more in theory, I've found, than in reality. These lines are typically right at the part of your lawn, city part of it is near the city right of way, or is under the city right of way that's near the street. So often about 10 to 15 feet back from the curb. You may think this is your lawn. It's actually part of the city right of way. And typically speaking, service lines will be located in that area. So you may see the contractor working in that area. It is the city right of way. Our folks are very considerate. And if you have any features that are there, if you've got any sort of special items that are there, we'll talk to you ahead of time and make sure that we're in communication about things that may need to be moved, that are your personal items that are sitting in the city right of way. And Kevin and Jonathan, jump in if I'm not stating any of this correctly. But it's been my experience that everyone's very considerate about working that out home to home. It's important to know the contractor is required to restore anything that's disturbed to original or even better condition than when the project started.
And correct.
Pardon me?
I'll say you stand correct.
Oh, good. Excellent. This project is unusual because of what I like to call the red-gray lines. So I just wanted to take a moment to flag what's happening in these sections of the project. The top rectangle shows the sort of northwest area of the project up there by Windsor and the feeder road to Mopac. And then you see the southeast area of the project down below. We talked about the red-gray lines earlier. Okay, here's the situation. the gray lines that are currently in service, the service lines that connect those to homes, giving them wastewater services, are at the back of those houses. Since we won't be using that gray line anymore, and instead we're putting in a line where the red is in a whole new location, it just takes a little more movement of the service line. We can't just plug it in. We've got to move it to the front of the property. If this is going to impact you, you will already have received a request for signed right of entry form so that the contractor can enter your property and connect you to your new wastewater services so that you will have wastewater services. And again, you're going to find Jonathan and our contractor working really well in sync, working with you door to door, to make sure all of this goes smoothly, to make sure you know what's going on. I know a number of folks, y'all have already had one-on-one conversations with different members of the team about it. And again, important to know the contractor is required to leave everything in as good or as original or better condition. So don't bring any new plants in. We're not landscapers, but people are very respectful about this process. Okay, Kevin is going to talk to you about some more construction impacts. So you're on mute, but unmute, Kevin, and off you'll go.
All righty,
There you
can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, traffic impacts. Again, typically the contractor is going to set up some type of traffic control. This may affect your personal streets, but at all times, we will ensure that you do have access to your individual homes. Okay.
Here's Jonathan's cell phone number yet again. You'll get it at the end too.
Again, and this is unique because again, you guys got trash runs on different days. So what I'm going to ask of Jonathan and the contractor is when we move to your particular street, we're going to find out exactly what days your trash is run. And hopefully we'll make a route to allow the trash truck to be able to get down the street. If that's not possible, we're going to do any and everything we can to ensure that your trash make it to that truck. So one of my jobs is to find out when that trash is scheduled to run for that particular day, and I'll coordinate that with Jonathan so that we'll be ready for it. Okay, planned water outages. Again, typically this will occur once the contractor has installed his main water line. Testing will take place. Now, the actual outage will take place once they get ready to reconnect to your main service. Typically, you may not even notice it, but again, I just want to make sure you guys are aware there's the possibility of this particular planned outage. Typically, when we go in, we will always give you a 48-hour notice of any type of disruption into your water supply to your homes. Okay, and again, if we do that, we're doing that just for the reason so that you'll be able to stock up on water supply and whatnot. We typically try to get the water on as soon as we can, but again, construction, there's always the unknown. But the rule of thumb is to get it back on as quick as we can. Emergency outages. Again, this is construction. Again, some things can go wrong. In the event of emergency outage on your water, we will assess the damage first, right? Make sure everything is safe and try to inform you individually as quick as we can. Again, priority is making sure that we get everything back in operation as soon as we can.
And that's it for our presentation. And now it's time for questions. Thank you, everyone, for going through those slides with me. And I think everyone hopefully understood most of that, but now is the most important part, your questions. And so Lydia, if you'll track those, then
Yeah. So there's a Q&A chat box, but we already have two attendees raising their hands. So I'm going to allow Gina to talk if you'd like to just unmute and you can ask your question.
Actually, I'm not Gina. I'm Gina's husband, John.
Oh, hi, Ron.
And
Yeah.
I very much appreciate the presentation. I did want to bring up a couple of things. You brought up sidewalks. We have no sidewalks in this section of Old Enfield. This section of Old Enfield was dedicated over 100 years ago, and the right of way is basically curb to curb. The water meters are just maybe 2 feet off, 2 or 3 feet off the curb along most of this section, which is I'm on. My house spans from Parkway to East Windsor. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we're a National Register Historic District. My house is a state historic landmark. You're going to come across a number of houses that are local or state historic landmark. And part of the features of those houses is the curbing. It's the rubble curbing that's put in along the streets. That's one of the defining features of the National Register Historic District. So coming in and tearing all that up and then replacing it with something that you deem to be better is really is problematic for us. We're under obligations from both the Secretary of the Interior, the state, and the city's Historic Preservation Office to maintain those features. So I just want to make sure you were aware of that. I mean, you're doing work on A Lane. You obviously can tell that A Lane and and East Windsor, all these streets are unique, and I would ask that you be respectful of that and also of the significant pedestrian traffic in the neighborhood because there are no sidewalks.
Well, that is very helpful, great information. And Ron, I'm going to put you on the spot. I know that you've done about, I don't know, 1 million of these contracts. Maybe not quite 1 million, but that you've been involved in a lot. Have you run into, I know you've run into all sorts of things. I don't know if you have any comments about unique features like the rubble curbing and so on and so forth.
Yes, we have. We've worked in your area in general, not specifically these streets, but generally this area before. And we run into that, and there are some things that we will do to try to not have to replace your curbs. If we can, we'll have to look at each case, but we'll try to tunnel under it. There's a lot of things we can do that that can help us with that so that we don't disturb them so bad. We have had to replace some in the past, and we've got some people that are pretty good at replicating what's there. So we will address that, and we'll be cognizant of what you've got. We're not going to just go through there and tear everything up and try to put a standard curb back in. We understand, the the implication of historical property. So we will, and we've worked in these type areas before in other parts of the city, as well as worked in this general area already. So
we'll have to talk as a team about the best way to make sure that we know which homes are historic and what the implications of that are, house by house. And so those are all very helpful. That's really helpful information. Thank you very much for bringing it to our attention, for sure.
Okay, let's move on. We've got a lot of hands raised and a lot of questions in the chat.
Okay.
So thank you for that. We're moving on to the next person that raised their hand is Mr. Richard Hamner. And I'm going to ask you to unmute and lower your hand.
I have.
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm actually John Donisi. He's not John Honeycutt, he's John Donisi. His wife is Jan, is our state representative. But I'm his next door neighbor, and I'm looking at the plans that you've got coming down East Windsor Road from Windsor to 24th Street. You've got a water line that comes all the way down. You've got a replacement line that comes basically one lot down, and then a new replacement line that comes all the way to my lot, just past John. And then up at the top of East Windsor, you've got some replacement lines. I'm going to raise a serious question with you guys as to whether you know where your lines are. Because you're not proposing to complete a line that goes down East Windsor to anything. You're not proposing to do anything about replacing water lines on Windsor Road or 24th Street, where you've had numerous breaks that have caused us to lose service in the last 2 years. And you're proposing to replace a line that goes through my next door neighbor's yard that doesn't go anywhere except into the street. So I'm very curious as to how you develop these maps. And let me be very specific. 25 years ago, I had an application to get my house refinanced voided because the city of Austin had a wastewater easement through my house. And it turns out that the wastewater easement didn't go through my house, or the wastewater line didn't. It went through John Donice's house. And the city informed me that they were going to replace the line. So I'm wondering if the reason why you're only replacing the line 3/4 of the way down Windsor Road East is because you replaced the line 20 years ago already.
I can't answer the question about 25 years ago, and others may want to wait and hear. Chris, you may have some points to contribute, but I can speak to Austin Water's process in general. There are line breaks that are recorded daily all over the city, and all of that data is carefully recorded. We have cameras that are going into lines all the time to inspect. And there is a very complicated set of evaluations that go into determining what parts of town will be going into and what we'll be doing there, because it's always balancing need with budget. So a lot of and it takes years to design the projects. A lot of things can happen in the meantime, but in terms of making decisions about what's done, yeah, there's a very tedious data-driven process that goes into it. So I'll just say that as an overview, and then I can't really say that I am understanding the 25-year ago situation. So I don't know, Luke or Chris, if you guys have anything, or if this is a conversation that we should have after this call, set up a private call for it so we can let other people
Let's do that. Let's set up a private call afterwards.
Okay. Did you copy down my information earlier so you can?
I did.
Great. Okay. We'll follow up with me and we'll go from there.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner. And then I'm going to mute you now and move on to the next person that had raised their hand. J Mac, I'm sorry, I don't know your name yet, but if you would like to unmute.
My property sits between A-Lane and Rainbow, right where the green and red lines connect. And so I'm wondering two things. One, is there any significance to having replacement and new terminated in front of my property? Because that is where my waste line connects, is right there. And two, I didn't quite understand when you have to reconnect the waste line, like how far back into the property do you have to go? Because that A lane's very narrow. I've got a big old stone wall that sits right there. And I'm not sure what kind of destruction you need to do to get that reconnected.
Sure. Okay, I'm glad you've asked, and that's a very specific question. I don't know, Ron or Chris or anyone, Jonathan or Luke, I don't know if you guys have some real familiarity with that specific spot. Or again, we can set up a time to come to your property and look at it specifically on the ground, but does
Yeah, if you
anyone?
want to do that, that's fine with me.
I see that Kevin has answered it in the chat, but he accidentally sent it to the hosts and panelists. It says that this will require connection of your service port at home by rerouting it towards the front by the way of trench. So
No. I already
I don't
covered.
think that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think that answer is right.
There's no way you're gonna connect it to the front of the property. That's uphill, and I'm not having lift stations put in and, terraced. You can't, that's not possible. When you guys
Well-
sent me these notices, we covered that topic already. So it's very disturbing that you're now telling me that's not the case.
Well, I don't think anybody's telling you that is strictly the case. We'll have to go look at it individually because I can't tell you right now what we may or may not need to do with your property. I don't have the drawings in front of me, and we'll have to come out and look at it specifically.
Just to be clear, my waistline terminates on A lane.
If it's on A lane, then that's, we would be, typically we would be working from the curb in about 10 to 15 feet, wherever your clean out is now. Okay? And
I don't know where that is, but
we can find it we can typically find it with a camera. But anyway.
You need to trench back in 10 to 15 feet because you're going to be trenching through an old brick wall that was built way back in the historic days, I guess, that we were just talking about.
Again, we might be able to go under that wall. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. I think
if we can find your service, it may be one that we
Yeah.
connect closer than 10 or 15 feet. We'll have to address that on site and individually, and we're not going to do anything to damage your wall.
Yeah.
Unless-
When do those kinds of things get sorted out, just to set expectations?
It's going to be several months.
But
This
is
is
it
a 2-year project.
before digging happens or during digging?
Oh, yes. No, before.
Okay.
Well before.
All right.
we're
So
not-
we'll expect some kind of update then on what you guys visually.
You'll be hearing
look at.
you'll be hearing from us and our Jonathan, and well in advance of us doing the work in front of your house. We're actually starting up in the Newfield area, Newfield first. So it'll give us time to come down and take a look at yours and see what we need to do.
Okay. Thank you.
And John, that is very much the nature of these things. That's what we're trying to describe. Again, Mr. McCormick, Jonathan Sotomayor is there on the ground day in, day out to help sort of facilitate these conversations. Ron and his guys are engaged. So yeah, there's a lot of on the ground, one-on-one dialogue and communication that needs to take place. And the best thing that you guys can do in the community is just help us have those dialogues, which typically people are really, really great about. But I see Jonathan writing all these things down, in great detail. And I know where he's going to be tomorrow. He's going to be at all these houses checking these things out. So yeah, absolutely. The best way to make sure things go well and that everybody's on the same page is for just us to sort it out, as a team. Meaning with you guys as part of that team.
Let's see. I have one more person raising their hands. Miss Barbara, I'm about to give you permission to talk, and then I'll ask you now to unmute so you can ask your question.
I would like to know if I would be able to meet with Jonathan about, I've seen the initial drawings of connecting the wastewater line going all the way across my yard and then down the side yard. When I purchased the home, the wastewater line coming out of the house had broken and we had to replace a portion of it. I can't remember. It's been 20 something years, but we did install a clean out just outside of the underpinning of the home on the driveway. And my question would be, would it make more sense? My driveway is a brick driveway, so it could be lifted up and potentially running the line straight down the driveway to the street rather than across the yard and down the side yard near the air conditioning unit. So my question is, I would love to meet with Jonathan if possible, because I know obviously time is of the essence on this one, since this is where you're starting. So how would I go about setting up a time with Jonathan? I know he's going to be over in the neighborhood tomorrow, and I could potentially meet him as well.
If I'm wrong, Chris, and according to the city specs and standards, the new cleanouts cannot be installed in your driveway, unfortunately.
Really?
That is correct. That is correct.
Boy,
Yes.
it's just so much further to go from where the original line is all the way across the yard and down the side yard than where it obviously where it currently exists. So that's not even a possibility then.
What I was going to say, what we can do is when we get out there, depending on how Chris has it designed, if there's another way that we can come up with a solution to redesign, and I can submit that to Chris and maybe he can take a look at the redesign. But if it's not feasible, then the way that it's designed will have to be the way that it goes in. But a field observation will be best, so that I can take that information and pass it to Chris so that he can, if need be, update the design
Okay.
for a
Thank
more
you, Rick.
suitable install.
Jonathan, I think the regulation is you don't want to clean out in the driveway. That doesn't mean the service can't be in the driveway. So that's something we would have to look at. And it has to be signed off by the work that's on the private property is dictated by the plumbing inspection. So, but the
Okay.
clean out cannot be in the driveway. That doesn't mean the service line from the house can't. Maybe there, and then you get out close to the property line and you come over to the side of the driveway. We've done that a lot of times.
Got it. And if I can't get with you tomorrow,
sorry, excuse me.
I know there's several of y'all that I want to meet with. If anything, I'll be meeting with some of y'all Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as we can.
Sure, I understand. And I have tenants in place, so, if I can just get, a 30 minutes heads up so they can get their dog out of the yard and know that we're coming by.
I'll try to give you a 2-3 hour heads up.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you, Mel.
And Jonathan, I just wanted to point out that in the chat, we have someone that was on earlier, John Denisi, and his information is now in the chat as well, if you would like to write that down.
Uh-huh.
And then one last question that I found in the Q&A is from an anonymous attendee. No, sorry, I can't identify you. If you'd like to send a chat so that we know who you are, that could help. But if not, no big deal. But it says, "Hi, my question is about the staging areas for equipment, porta potty, etc. The street right outside my window has been used as a parking/staging area for numerous weeks continuously. This is disruptive. I hope my house will not have to host the porta potty and equipment for a lot longer." So if somebody would like to take that.
So I just want to clarify. So you currently, there's a staging area. It must be for some other project in front of your house. It must be for another project, unless I'm really missing something. It sounds like that.
It's not this project. And
Yeah.
we don't have a staging area on site. We will have staging, some staging for equipment and porta cans, but we can arrange those hopefully where they're not in they're not objectionable. We'll figure out how to do that.
Okay, so I'm sorry to that neighbor, but unfortunately that is not the project that we are working on.
Okay, Jennifer, this is Cynthia again. If you want to take my contact information and follow up with me, I'll try to figure out what project's going on and see what information I can find out. Unfortunately, we're a really big utility, and so I know about these projects, but I don't know off the top of my head what's happening with this other project, but I will try to find out and get back with you. If you can shoot me an email with your I've written down your information, but if you can shoot me an email, just reiterating your question and your location, that'll help me.
And she said, thank you. I sent her your email once more. So she has that.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have another question in the Q&A. And he asks, how can I determine if service lines connect on the front or side of a lot?
Let's see, 1713 Newfield. You're asking if you're trying to figure out if your current lines are, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
So
Oh, yeah,
for the
really,
service lines
all we can do is look at
connecting
the
on the front.
plans. We'll have to look at the plans and with Jonathan, and we'll figure out where it is. I don't have the individual plans with me tonight. So, but we'll be able to get back to Chuck and let him know.
Okay, I see Chris looking things up, and so I think he's already trying to figure it out.
Yes, Mr. Smith, if you'd like to type in, send to us, just the panelists, or to wherever you feel comfortable, your phone number or email, and we can shoot that over, or that answer to you once we figure it out.
Yeah, I think based on city records, the service at that location is going to the back of the property. And so that is one of the ones that would need to be relocated to the, I guess in our case, it's going to be to the north on Niles Road.
Okay, so you think that is a relocate?
I think it is, yes.
Jonathan, if you could see in the Q&A, Mr. Smith has written his email and phone number. And so once we confirm that, that it is going to be, you know, a replace to the front, and you can send him that information once you know for sure. We have another.
I'm writing it down.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Very good.
Let me just jump in here too. This is really important. Mr. Smith, you should have received a request that you sign a right of entry form so we can go on your property, make sure that that's the case, eventually do that work. You can follow up with me about that as well. I'll try to check my files while we continue and see if we've had a dialogue with you. But yeah, we need to make sure that things are in order so that you get connected to wastewater services. Our goal is not to have anybody not have wastewater. Our goal is to have everybody have wastewater services.
Chuck, Mr. Smith has written that he does not believe he received a right of entry form.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for engaging in this. And he put his information in the chat, right, Lydia?
He did in the Q&A, and Jonathan, I hope
okay.
you've written that down, right?
Writing it down right now.
Okay,
All right,
great.
thank you.
We'll follow up. We'll follow up with this. Yeah, I will just throw out there, I'm glad you mentioned the records are poor on this. In the old parts of Austin, it all the time, crews will be working, and then all of a sudden run into like some old facility from a gas company or another utility, been there who knows how long, and it was never recorded. So these old areas, yeah, lots of gaps in information. Sometimes you'll see a crew going along and then all of a sudden they've split. Well, it's because we've run into something that belongs to another utility. We've got to negotiate that out. Nobody had it recorded, you know, so it's that reminded me of that, Chris, when you said that, and I should tell people that. Okay, Lydia, who's next?
I am just making sure that Mr. Clyer or Betsy Clyer, I'm not sure how to say your name, has written in the Q&A just saying to add them to the list of people to talk to and visit. And if you could just send us your home address, phone number, email, so that way Jonathan knows how to get a hold of you, that would be really helpful, because we know your addresses, but we don't always have the names to match the addresses to keep everything nice and private and secure. So I don't see any other questions. I just want to give that person the opportunity to send Jonathan there. Oh, I just received some more. Okay, it's from Miss Barbara DeBow, who spoke earlier. She says in the chat that I have received only one notification of this work to be done. My tenant has not received anything either. I'm not sure if I have signed an ROE. form. She just wants to confirm that she needs to sign an ROE. She says that she has emailed Tunde on March 31st regarding not receiving this info. She wants to know who is responsible for the new service connection line between her house and the relocated sewer line. The connection line currently runs through her backyard, and she was told that the new connection would run along her side yard, and wants to know who is responsible for paying for it. She would also like to be added to know about the information about the water line construction along Weathersfield Road. And if anyone needs to reread that, because I know it was a lot.
Right. To say, oh boy.
There is in the Q&A. So
Okay.
oh, sorry, that was two separate people. So Ms. DeBow was asking about the ROE if she needs to sign one. And then Ms. Heather Ball was wondering about who is responsible for the new sewage line connection.
The city is paying for the new sewer line connection for Ms.
City is
Ball's
paying.
person.
Yes, this is all part of the city project.
Correct.
Yes.
And Ms. Heather Ball, if you would like to receive the information about the water line construction, could you please send your contact information and your address? If you'd like to, since you would like to learn more about Weathersfield Road. And then Jonathan, I just wanted to point out that we have another contact that's been added to the Q&A. It's the most recent one and there at the bottom if you'd like to get their information down for 1711 Windsor.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
And all of this information should be being recorded right now that's put in the Q&A, but I'd really like, I'm old enough to be scared of technology. And so better safe than sorry. So thank you for writing everything down. I'm trying to write everything down too. So. And we appreciate everyone helping to share their information. Like Lydia alluded to, we try to really respect privacy. That's why, we try not to put people on the spot and that sort of thing. But this is really helpful for us just to get your information and get in dialogue.
So Ms. Heather Ball, hopefully that answered your question a little bit about who's paying for it. It is the city. The city is paying for it. And thank you for sending us your contact information. Jonathan should be writing that down now. Are there any other questions?
And if I'm following who is asking what correctly, I will follow up with you about that.
And thank you, David, for sending us also your information. Jonathan will definitely be giving you a call and keep you abreast of everything that's happening with the project for East Windsor and A Lane. It's really great to hear about all of your concerns about especially A Lane. I mean, these are things that obviously your neighbors in your neighborhood better than we do. So we really appreciate you coming out tonight and bringing those concerns to us so we know to pay special care and attention to all these things that are important to the neighborhood.
Ditto. That was really well put, Lydia. Thank you for that. Absolutely. And if you can let your neighbors know, that again, we want to be a team with the neighborhood. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good partners. Construction is not fun for anybody. I'm not going to lie. There's nothing fun about it. But we're going to get through it. And the best way to get through it is for us all to know each other. And like I said, work in a really collaborative manner. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing all this information. And please let me go back to our contact screen so that, again, everyone can copy that down. Let me also flag for you.
I have a question in the webinar chat. David is asking, he gave me two addresses and he asked, will construction occur simultaneously on A Lane and East Windsor, blocking both access points to the house?
Answer is no.
No.
We'll make sure he has access to the house.
Absolutely. let me also point this out for, oops, that's the end of the slideshow. Let me just flag down here, stay informed, Q code, project notifications. I think that's the wrong Q code now that I think about it. So don't use that. But you can sign up at austintexas.gov/Old Enfield Water, the project website. If you scroll down to communications, you can sign up for an email notification newsletter that we send out once every few weeks. Again, you want to know Jonathan, you want to be in touch for day-to-day stuff, but these project notifications are helpful in terms of letting people know, okay, we're now about to move over here, or this will be happening. Nope, it's not happening. Weather conditions messed that up. So now we're rerouting to here. Those sorts of things. And I apologize. I think that's the Q code from another project. I just realized that I didn't switch out. So I'm sorry about that. The other thing is you can always Google Austin Water, Old Enfield project, and you'll get the webpage about this project, but that's a handy resource. AustinTexas.gov, Old Enfield Water. One last time, let me put up our contact information. What is going on? I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. And Kevin, you met Kevin. He did the last part of the presentation. He backs up Jonathan. And so it's good to have his phone number too. And just keep in touch. And hopefully we'll get all of this taken care of and get off to the races. So thank you again, everybody, so much.